Welcome back to the Religious Studies Podcast, listeners. You know how it goes. We're about to take a deep dive into the world of religion and spirituality.
Always exciting.
And just so you know, we create these deep dives with the help of AI.
Sure do.
But don't worry, every fact is meticulously checked by our expert, Bastian Feyborg.
That's me.
Today we're going to be focusing on a topic that's kind of a blend of the mystical and the martial, Daoist swords. Specifically, we'll be talking about the Jian sword.
Okay.
And its role in things like exorcism and purification rituals.
Fascinating stuff. It's incredible how a simple weapon, like a sword, can be so deeply connected with these cosmological beliefs and ritual practices.
Totally. It's like the Jian is like this bridge, almost, between the physical and the spiritual.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at how the symbolism goes way beyond just, it being a weapon.
Mm-hmm.
Think of a sword, though, that can not only defend you physically, but also spiritually. That's the kind of power we're talking about today. So first off, what is it that really makes the Jian sword stand out in Taoism?
Well, the Jian, to start, is a straight, double-edged sword, and it's been linked to exorcism and Taoism since at least the Southern Song dynasty.
Oh, wow.
Which was, we're talking around 420 to 479 CE.
Okay.
What I think is really interesting, though, is even the creation of the Daoist itself, like the forging process, really echoes those core Taoist principles.
Okay, I'm curious. How so? How does forging a sword connect to Taoism?
Well, if you think about it, the process of forging involves heating, cooling, the metal is softened and hardened.
Right.
This directly mirrors the Taoist idea of yin and yang.
Okay.
The interplay of complementary opposites. Heating, it's active, forceful, so that represents the yang. Cooling, on the other hand, is passive, yielding, and that would represent the yin.
So the Jian isn't just like shaped through forging. It's almost as if it's imbued with this like fundamental concept of balance from the very beginning.
Exactly. And Taoists believe that that balance, is a key part of what gives the sword its power. But that idea of balance doesn't just stop at the forging process. It's also reflected in the design of the Jian itself.
Oh, that's right. The hilt and the guard have specific symbolic meanings, don't they?
They do. The hilt, which is grasped by the hand, that represents the yang, active principle. And the guard, where the blade comes out, that represents yin, the passive principle. It's almost like you're looking at a visual representation of these opposing forces coming together in this perfect harmony.
And then there's that really fascinating detail with the guard.
Oh, yeah.
It's often decorated with a demon face, with the blade as its tongue. Such a striking image.
Oh, it is. And it kind of symbolizes that Taoist idea of using demonic forces to combat demons.
Oh, interesting.
A kind of like a fight fire with fire approach, you could say.
So it's not about like suppressing yin completely, but more like utilizing its power in a very controlled way to restore that balance.
Exactly. And the symbolism goes even deeper than that. Sometimes Jian blades even feature the Big Dipper constellation.
Wait, really? What's the significance of that? What's the Big Dipper doing on a sword?
Well, in Taoist cosmology, the Big Dipper is super important, and its position on the blade, they think, aligns the person holding the sword wielder, with the North Star.
Okay.
Which is, of course, considered the celestial axis mundi. It's the center of the cosmos.
Wow. So it's not just a weapon. It's like this tool for connecting with the universe itself, for aligning yourself with the cosmic order.
You got it. It shows how deeply intertwined Taoist cosmology is, even with something as seemingly simple as the design of a sword.
That makes you kind of wonder if there are other like hidden meanings embedded in the Jian that we haven't even like touched on yet.
Who knows?
For now, though, I think it's time that we shift our focus to how the Jian is actually used in those exorcism rituals.
Okay.
I know there's this whole concept of penetration being really important in Taoist exorcism, but it seems like it's about more than just the physical act of like piercing something, right?
You're absolutely right. In Taoist thought, penetration represents a symbolic transformation. It's about shifting something from a state of excess yin back to a state of balance with yang.
Okay, I think I'm starting to get it, but can you give me like a concrete example? How does this idea of penetration play out in an actual like exorcism ritual?
Sure. Let's say you have someone who's possessed by a gi, which is a type of spirit associated with yin.
Okay.
This person is basically in a state of imbalance. Yin energy is just overwhelming their system.
So the Jian, being a yang object, is used to drive out that yin entity, to kind of restore the person's natural balance?
That's it. And that's what that concept of penetration comes in.
Okay.
It's not just about physically pushing the gi out. It's about using that Jian's yang energy could pierce through that excess yin, like lancing a boil, to release the pressure.
So the Jian's almost like a lightning rod, almost channeling cosmic energy to kind of dispel negativity. It's a powerful image.
It is, but it's also important to remember that the Jian can harm those beneficial yin entities too, like dragons.
Oh, that's right. It seems like, using the tool this potent could have some unintended consequences.
Oh, absolutely. That's a really important point you brought up there.
Yeah.
The power of the Jian has to be wielded with knowledge and respect. Just as it can banish negative yin, it can disrupt that positive yin
Right.
if it's used carelessly.
So it's not a tool to be taken lightly, is it?
No, no.
It requires a very deep understanding of all those cosmological principles that we've been talking about.
It does, and that's why Daoist priests undergo such rigorous training. They have to understand not just the physical techniques of wielding the Jian,
Yeah.
but also those metaphysical implications. It's that blend of the physical and the metaphysical that makes the Jians fascinating.
Speaking of that blend of the physical and the metaphysical, I'm really intrigued by the Jian hand gesture.
Oh, yeah.
It's like having a symbolic sword right at your fingertips.
That's right.
Can you tell me more about how that works?
The Zhejian gesture, where you extend your index and middle fingers like a sword, is often called the sword of enlightenment.
Wow.
And you're right, it does act as a symbolic representation of the Jian. It's a conduit for cosmic energy, even without the physical weapon.
That's amazing. So it's like the physical Jian is like an outward expression of this inner sword, a sword of the spirit that we can all kind of cultivate through practice.
That's a beautiful way of putting it. It really highlights that deep connection between the physical and the symbolic in Taoist thought.
So we've seen how the Jian is both a physical weapon, it's a symbol, a tool for exorcism, and also a representation of these really deeper cosmological principles.
Right.
It's really remarkable how these ideas are just woven together in Taoism.
Absolutely. It's a fascinating example of how religion and ritual can be used to understand and interact with the world around us.
And how objects can just, become imbued with such profound meaning and power.
Absolutely. Transcending their material form and becoming symbols of something much greater. But before we go any further, I think it's important to kind of circle back and really explore that idea of the human body as a microcosm of the cosmos.
That's right. We touched on it earlier, but I'm still a bit fuzzy on how it all connects to the Jian and its role in Daoism.
Yeah.
Can you help me understand that connection a little better?
Of course. So in Taoism, the human body isn't seen as separate from the universe. It's a reflection of the cosmos. It contains all the same forces and principles that govern the universe as a whole.
So when a person is possessed by a gi, it's not just like a spiritual ailment. It's actually a disruption of that cosmic balance within them.
Exactly. The gi, being a yin entity, throws off the person's internal harmony, their personal balance of yin and yang.
And the Jian, with its inherent yang energy, it helps to kind of restore that balance by driving out the gi.
Exactly. You can almost think of it like a tuning fork being used to bring a discordant note back into harmony.
Oh, okay.
The exorcism isn't just about getting rid of this evil spirit, it's about realigning the person with the natural flow of the universe.
And the Jian Syrian, with its connection to the North Star and that celestial axis mundi, becomes like the instrument for that realignment.
That's a great way to put it.
This idea of the human body as a microcosm, it is incredibly profound when you really think about it.
It is.
It suggests that what happens to us individually actually has an impact on the cosmos as a whole.
And vice versa. We are not separate from the universe. We're an integral part of it.
So taking care of our own well-being, both physically and spiritually, isn't just about us. It's about maintaining that delicate cosmic balance.
Absolutely. That's a wonderful insight. We're all interconnected, and our actions have ripple effects throughout the universe.
It puts the role of the Taoist priest in a whole new light.
It does.
They're not just performing these rituals. They're like guardians of that cosmic balance.
A sacred duty, for sure, and one that requires deep knowledge and understanding.
And the Jian, with all its, rich symbolism and power, becomes an essential tool in their sacred work.
It is, and it serves as this powerful reminder that even something as seemingly simple as an object can be imbued with such profound meaning and purpose.
So as we kind of wrap up this part of our deep dive, I'm wondering, what does all this mean for us, for our listeners?
Yeah.
We may not be Taoist priests, but how can we apply these insights to our own lives?
That's a great question. I think the key takeaway here is to remember that we are all microcosms of the universe. We each contain those forces of yin and yang within us, and maintaining balance is just so crucial to our well-being.
So even though we may not be wielding physical swords or performing exorcisms, we can still work towards cultivating that balance within ourselves.
Absolutely. Practices like meditation, mindfulness, even just being more aware of our choices and how they impact the world around us,
Yeah.
all of that can help us move toward a state of greater harmony.
And remembering that we are interconnected with everything around us.
Exactly. It's about cultivating that sense of unity and recognizing our place in the grand scheme of things.
It's amazing how a deep dive into something as specific as Taoist swords could actually lead to such profound and universal insights.
It is. That's the beauty of exploring different religious and spiritual traditions, isn't it?
Yeah.
They offer these unique perspectives that can really enrich our understanding of the world and ultimately our place within it.
And remind us that there's always more to learn, always those deeper layers of meaning to uncover.
Always.
But unfortunately, we're going to have to save that for the next part of our deep dive.
We are.
So until then, thank you for listening.
Yes, thank you. It's interesting, isn't it, how the whole symbolism of the sword kind of extends way beyond just Taoism.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
It pops up in like so many cultures and spiritual traditions all over the world.
Yeah, it's like it's this universal archetype that just resonates with something deep within us, like even beyond just religious contexts. You see swords showing up in stories and myths and legends everywhere.
Totally. Think about like the legendary Excalibur from those Arthurian legends.
Oh, right.
It's not just a weapon. It represents kingship, destiny, the divine right to rule, all of that.
And how about that, like, flaming sword that's guarding the Garden of Eden in the Bible?
Oh, yeah, good one.
It's not just keeping Adam and Eve out, right?
Right.
It also symbolizes this divine judgment and that separation of humanity from the divine.
Powerful imagery, for sure. And even in modern fantasy, like in Star Wars, for example, lightsabers, they're not just cool weapons, right?
Yeah.
They represent the Jedi's connection to the Force, their skill, their discipline, that spiritual alignment.
It really is amazing how this one object, the sword, can hold so many different layers of meaning. Like, it makes you wonder what other, like, everyday objects might have these hidden depths that we're totally missing.
Oh, I know.
Yeah.
That's something we should think about, maybe for a future deep dive.
Yeah, maybe.
But for now, I think we should come back to the Jedi.
Okay.
And its connection with the human body.
Right.
We talk about the body being like a microcosm of the cosmos, but I'm really curious to explore that a little bit further.
Yes, let's do that. What is it specifically about the human body that makes it a microcosm in that Taoist way of thinking?
Well, Taoists believe that the human body mirrors the universe. Like it contains all of those same forces and principles, especially that interplay of yin and yang.
Right, okay.
Every organ, every energy system is understood in terms of this kind of cosmic dance.
So when we talk about like a gi disrupting a person's balance, are we talking about like specific disruptions to these internal systems? How does that actually work?
That's a great question. It's a bit complicated.
Okay.
But to put it simply, each organ and energy pathway in the body is associated with either yin or yang. When a gi, which is all about that excess yin, enters a person, it disrupts the flow of qi, which is vital energy, throughout their whole system.
So Jian, then, with its yang nature, is used not just to exercise the Kyo, but also to rebalance that person's, like, internal energy flow?
Exactly. It's almost like, a skilled acupuncturist.
Okay.
Using needles to stimulate specific points and get that proper flow of qi back.
Right.
The Jian, in the hands of a trained Daoist priest, it acts in a similar way, using its yang energy to clear blockages and harmonize that person's kind of inner landscape.
That makes a lot of sense. So it's not just about driving out evil.
No.
It's about restoring harmony at a really deep internal level. And the Jian, with its alignment to the North Star, the celestial axis mundi, kind of becomes a tool for drawing on that cosmic energy to facilitate that healing.
Exactly. And that whole understanding of the body as this microcosm really adds another layer of meaning to the idea of penetration in Daoist exorcism.
Oh, okay.
It's not just about physically piercing the body, but about like penetrating those energy blockages.
Right.
Dissolving the excess yin and allowing that person's inherent yang nature to come back.
That's such a powerful image. It's as if the Gen's acting as a conduit, channeling that restorative power of the cosmos into the person.
And it reminds us that our own well-being is really connected to the balance of the universe as a whole. When we work towards our own inner harmony, we're not just helping ourselves, we're contributing to the harmony of the entire cosmos.
Wow, that is a profound thought. So even though we might not be, wielding these physical swords or battling these literal demons, we can still take inspiration from the Jian and what it symbolizes.
Absolutely. We can cultivate that inner sword of enlightenment, that clarity, that focus, that inner strength to deal with life's challenges and find our own sense of balance.
It really sounds like the Jian is more than just a weapon or a ritual object. It's a symbol of transformation and self-cultivation.
Exactly. It represents the potential within each of us to overcome the negative stuff, restore that balance, and connect with something much greater than ourselves.
I'm really appreciating how this deep dive into Taoist swords is opening up these broader philosophical and spiritual insights.
Me too. It's really cool how exploring this one specific topic can lead to these universal and relevant ideas.
Speaking of exploring, I know we've been focusing a lot on the kind of more practical and ritualistic side of the Jian, but I'd love to delve deeper into the symbolism, especially within the whole context of Daoist cosmology.
Yeah, I was just thinking the same thing.
Okay, great.
I think it's time we unpack those layers of meaning that are hidden within the Jian's form and its function.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe we can start with the Jian Sheikh.
Okay.
It's a straight, double-edged sword. What does that tell us about its symbolic significance?
Well, the straightness of the blade, it's often thought to symbolize that direct path to enlightenment, like cutting through illusions and falsehoods.
Mm-hmm.
And the double edge is a good reminder that the path to enlightenment can be pretty challenging.
Yeah.
It requires that we confront our own inner demons and overcome those obstacles, both internal and external.
That's interesting. It's like the Jian is like this reminder that true spiritual progress, it isn't always a smooth, linear journey.
No, it's not.
It takes a lot of effort, a lot of discipline, and the willingness to, face those shadows within ourselves.
Exactly. And the fact that it's double-edged really highlights that dualistic nature of reality.
Uh-huh.
The interplay of yin and yang, which we've been discussing, it reminds us that balance isn't about getting rid of one force or the other.
Right.
It's about finding that harmony between them.
That makes me think about something we discussed earlier. The idea of using demonic forces to combat demons
Oh, yeah.
seems kind of paradoxical, but in that context of Taoism, it makes sense.
It does.
It's about, understanding and harnessing the power of both yin and yang to actually achieve that state of balance.
Exactly. And it's about recognizing that even within what we might see as negative aspects of reality, there's potential for transformation and growth.
It's a really powerful reminder that we shouldn't, shy away from our shadow selves or the kind of darker aspects of life.
Mm-hmm.
Instead, we can learn to, integrate them, to find that balance and wisdom that's hidden within those experiences.
That's beautifully said. And the Jian, with that whole symbolism of cutting through illusion and confronting duality,
Mm-hmm.
it serves as our guide on that journey.
This conversation is really making me appreciate how deep and complex Taoist thought actually is.
It is.
It's not just about, rigid rules or dogma. It's about understanding that interconnectedness of all things and finding balance within that whole dynamic interplay.
It is, and that's what makes exploring religious symbolism so fascinating. It gives us a glimpse into different ways of understanding the world and where we fit in.
As we're talking about the Jian being this symbol of transformation and self-cultivation, it makes me think about that Jian hand gesture again.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
It seems like such a simple action,
It is.
but it's packed with so much meaning.
It is. The Jian with those two extended fingers representing the blade really embodies that inner power.
Right.
That sword of enlightenment that we can all work towards cultivating.
Mm-hmm.
It's a reminder that we don't necessarily need those external objects or rituals to access that power within.
Right. It's about, cultivating inner strength, clarity, and wisdom. It's like a mental and spiritual practice, almost, that parallels that physical wielding of the Jian in those exorcism rituals.
Exactly. It highlights that Taoist belief in the power of intention and focused awareness. Just like the priest wields the Jian, with intention and focus to dispel that negativity, we can use the Jian to cultivate those same qualities within ourselves.
It's like a symbolic way of, cutting through our own mental and emotional clutter.
Yeah.
Those negative thought patterns and limiting beliefs that kind of keep us stuck in imbalance.
That's a great way to put it. The Jian as that symbol of the sword of enlightenment. It reminds us that we have the power to shape our own internal reality, to create a state of harmony and clarity.
This whole conversation has really, opened my eyes to how multifaceted the Jian actually is. It's a weapon, it's a ritual object, a symbol of cosmological principles, and this representation of our own potential for transformation.
It really is. It's like a microcosm of Taoist thought in itself. It embodies those core principles: balance, harmony, and how everything is interconnected.
As fascinating as this has been, I'm realizing that we've only just, like, scratched the surface.
We have.
There's so much more to uncover about the Jian and its significance in, like, Daoist practice.
There is, and that's the cool thing about exploring religious symbolism, isn't it? It's a journey of discovery that never really ends.
Yeah.
There are always new layers to find, new connections to make.
Which brings us to the perfect point for the next part of our deep dive.
It does. Let's keep going and see what else we can find.
You know, as we've been talking about the Jian and all its symbolism, I keep thinking about how it connects to just, like, the broader human experience.
Yeah.
We might not be Daoist priests or warriors, wielding physical swords, but we all face these battles in our own lives, both internal and external.
That's so true. And the Jian, with all that symbolism of transformation and self-cultivation, it really does offer a powerful metaphor for those very personal struggles. It's a good reminder that we have the strength inside, the resources to overcome those challenges and come out stronger on the other side.
It's like the Jian represents that inner resilience, that sword of enlightenment. And we can use that to kind of cut through our fears, our doubts, those limiting beliefs that hold us back.
Exactly. And it brings us back to that Zijian hand gesture.
Yeah.
It's not just a symbolic representation. It's a tool for actually cultivating those qualities.
It's amazing how something so simple can actually, like, act as a conduit for that inner power.
It is.
It's that reminder, again, that we don't necessarily need these external objects or rituals to really access our own inner strength.
It all comes back to that, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Cultivating that mindfulness, focusing our intention, and channeling our energy towards positive change. Like the priest using the Jian, but we're doing it internally.
Right. With precision and purpose.
Exactly.
It's almost like a form of meditation.
Yeah, I like that.
It's like connecting with that inner warrior and tapping into that reservoir of strength that I think we all have inside.
That's a beautiful way to think about it. It really highlights that idea that the real battle oftentimes is fought within ourselves. Against those negative thoughts and beliefs that keep us from, reaching our full potential.
Yeah.
And the Jian, in both its physical form and as that symbol, acts as a guide, a source of inspiration for that journey. It reminds us that we have that power. We can shape our own reality, overcome those obstacles, and create a life that's balanced, in harmony, aligned with who we truly are.
I really couldn't have said it better myself. The Jian, with all its symbolism, its connection to that Daoist cosmology, it offers such a powerful way of looking at our lives and, like, our potential for growth.
It does.
This whole deep dive has been, like, so rewarding, just full of surprises,
Yeah.
I feel like I have a whole new appreciation for how deep and complex Daoist thought is.
It's been great exploring this with you.
Yeah, me too.
I always love getting to delve into these symbols and rituals. And the Jian, well, it's definitely been a really interesting one.
And to our listeners, I hope this has maybe sparked your curiosity a little to explore further, to look beyond just the surface and uncover those hidden meanings in the objects and symbols all around us.
Because there's often so much more there than we realize at first glance. It's about being open to those deeper layers.
Exactly.
And seeing the world with fresh eyes.
Well said. And on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into those Daoist swords.
We have.
We hope you've enjoyed the journey.
Yeah.
And come away with some, valuable insights along the way.
Absolutely. Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep searching for those hidden wonders that are all around us.
And may your journey be filled with balance, harmony, and the power of that, sword of enlightenment.